Hello, 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 hello. So good. Oh, beautiful. If you're catching the replay, welcome. We're going to be doing a reading. Today's astrology, it's pretty interesting. We have Mercury Kazemi, our sun currently. Mercury is retrograde. We also have Mars going retrograde tomorrow. We have a Venus conjunct Pluto that's coming up. That one is going to be happening. What's the date on that? December 7th. And then Neptune also goes direct on the 7th. And I just felt like we needed to do a reading. So we're going to sit and do some collective energy readings. I also, too, interestingly enough, this deck is the deck that I was learning with when I was like way younger. I haven't read with this deck in a long time. Hi, guys. Yeah, I haven't read with this deck in a long time. So let's kind of see what comes up. I just feel like we need to, there's stuff floating around and it's time for some things to ground. Projects. What are you carrying and what are you not? Sometimes we need to carry and sometimes we have to forget it. Sometimes we need, lovely to see you too. Sometimes we have to forget it. There's an opportunity coming through, but only if your hands are free. Ooh, let's talk about it. This opportunity, okay, because it's the Four of Cups card. Okay, I love this card. There's a little like how do I say? It's the opportunity coming in at the very top, it's the opportunity coming in at the very top. And they landed sideways next to each other. So we have Four of Cups, opportunity coming in, but you have to be able to look up. It's like you have to be able to look up. If you don't look up, you can't see it. And also, if your hands are full and if they're not doing anything, then they're able to receive the opportunity. But if they're full, then they can't handle it. They can't hold it. So if things are being cleared from your plate right now or being cleared from your space, if you're being able to put down some burdens, also opportunity coming through. What sort of other information about the opportunity do we need? Mind, something of the mind is grounding. Maybe it's an idea that you've had for a long time, or maybe you're going to receive an idea and then be able to put it on the ground. Like you receive the idea and then you can bring it back around to the ground. Receiving the idea, bring it back around to the ground. Opportunity. The world grounding too. The world grounding, mind grounding. Interesting. What else? It feels like there's something else. With this energy of the carrying too much, it's like you're not carrying too much. It's just you're learning how to not have a crutch. You're learning how to not lean on something. And that's interesting because I made a video about Pluto moving out of Capricorn earlier and kind of what that energy really looks like for us. And the metaphor of a brace being around what we needed to heal for the previous 16 years came up in that video. It's like a brace and embracing that. And now that Pluto's not in Capricorn, that ancestral thing has been healed, but that means that the brace comes off now. And since the brace gets to come off now, like if you think about, you take a cast off, you have to build the strength back up. Not only do you have to build the strength back up, you have to be kind of, careful with the healing process. And like it takes some time. So that's kind of what's happening with us moving into Pluto and Aquarius is like what was in Pluto and Capricorn. We're not ever going to be there again. Like we're not going to re-break that bone or have to put that cast on. But at the same time, it's a shift of perspective of like just being gentle with what it is that we've healed. And we're learning how to kind of like put it down now. The cast is heavy. To carry a cast on you, that's a heavy thing. And I mean, granted, they're light, but it's still an extra, it's still an extra weight. It's an extra thing that's around our arm or around, wherever the cast is. So now that it's off, it's an adjustment period. There's also probably going to be some rehabilitation energy around us too. And the rehabilitation energy, there is where the offering comes through. There's the opportunity, rehabilitating yourself, rehabilitation, and also extra consideration, not just rehabilitation. This is an extra consideration. You're being extra considerate about yourself, about your healing process, about this adjustment period of Pluto transiting into Aquarius, a moment of interesting. That's true. a moment of being truthful and honest about what you want as an opportunity and an offering. It's going to be more about something mental is able to come to the earth, something mental, finally, like an idea. You kind of are like, actually, I understand now. Actually, I do have the idea now. Actually, I do have the system or the structure. Actually, my brain makes sense to me again, is kind of the energy or the feeling that I have about that. It's like you've already made your decision. You're just kind of waiting for the answer to show up. No longer in temptation energy. This is definitely like a lot of healing. One of the other things that I've been feeling over the previous several days, weeks since we've had this transit shift over. I know, for real. The honesty, the truthful honesty, like, thanks for that, the gratitude for that. Seriously, seriously, seriously. One of the other energies that I've been feeling recently is a lot of light energy. Like Pluto, dark. Capricorn can be dark, and a lot of the times often is with the Saturn, the way Saturn works with that. So like we have these two darker energies, or two like harder constrictive energies, and they're not together anymore. So we have more light coming in. And also too, with this being the first Capricorn season in 17 years where Pluto is not there, and we're going to have the sun go into that on the solstice. Okay, yeah. So there's going to be some clarity and illumination that comes through. The Emperor, the Emperor. Let's see what else. The Emperor. The Emperor, Ace of Wands, creativity. It's like a seat of power. You've earned a seat of power, but you don't, it's not that you don't sit in it. It's a seat of power that hasn't been consecrated is not the same. Not everybody sees the seat of power that you walk in or that you sit in. It's like you sit in the seat of power, but there's a lot about that power that's hidden. It's supposed to be. That's Pluto's job, is to like hide our secrets from other people. That's part of the construction of Pluto. So that makes sense. Interesting. So it's like the seat of power, this earned seat of power, but people can't see the full capacity of that responsibility. People can't see the full capacity of that power. And there's a lot of creativity, like creation flowing through that seat of power, creation flowing through that space. Okay, interesting. What else do we need to see about that? And a cup overflowing. We have the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups. Okay, give it up then. Fill it up. That sounds great to me. Creation energy. And we have what? Ace of Cups, the overflowing. What are you growing in the overflowing? If there's overflow, are you letting go in the overflow? Because that might be necessary. Reminds me of those videos. They were like kind of trendy maybe month and a half ago, where it was like a dirty glass and people would just pour water into it, and they'd pour the water into it. And eventually the water would like clean it out, and the water would be clear, and there wouldn't be any more dirt in the glass again, just by pouring water into it. So maybe if you're pouring water, if it's like an overflow, are you letting go? If it's an overflow, are you nurturing? Like, what are you nurturing, and how are you nurturing that? An overflow. If there's an overflow, some sort of overflow, something about letting go. It's like the letting go. Oh, thanks. The letting go of that overflow. And how are you processing that? What is it turning into also? Like, what is it nurturing? What's it turning into? Something is coming to shore. Something is coming to shore, something that's been traveling to you for a long time. Could be unexpected for some people. Could be unexpected. Something that's been traveling for a long time, something that could be unexpected. We also have a grounding of harmony, a need for rest. At the end. Let me get more clarity on that one first before I talk about it. At the end. There's been some things that have been out of balance for a lot of people in the physical. Could be time, could be energy, lots of out of balance. And so now that we're learning to balance and we're letting go of these things, there's like a sense of self is what I feel from this like sense of harmony in the self. It's not necessarily dependent upon what's external to you, sense of self. And it's like they go together. Like you're still having to pull all of these like swords out of your back, all of these things that have had you under attack. in your life, it's like you're pulling those out of your back, while at the same time, it's like I see people pulling those out and immediately it heals. It's like there's not even a scar, it's just immediately healed. And pulling them out, immediately healed, pulling them out, immediately healed. And that honestly sounds good to me. Also, hello to you too. Hello to you too. Yeah, that sounds good to me. To pull it out of the back, it's immediately healed. But it's also like, it's just a time of rest and recovery and healing. That's something kind of honestly a little bit unexpected from the transition over from Pluto from Capricorn into Aquarius. And I just wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting there to be so much healing energy because of the seriousness of Capricorn and the seriousness of Saturn, because Pluto and Saturn are still together. They're still with each other. It's just a different form because we also have Uranus with those planets. So it's different, but I wasn't expecting all the healing energy. There's so much room for revealing and healing. I'm looking forward to Capricorn season, but I'm also a little bit like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what's really going to happen. I wonder what we're really going to find out, because after December 3rd and 4th, we had the moon in Capricorn. So we got to see kind of for the first time in a while our feelings without Pluto being in Capricorn. And that for me was a lot. Don't know about you, but it was a lot of processing, a lot of just like everything I've been through, looking at my emotions in that, processing it. And now that we have the sun moving into Capricorn December 21st, it's like big illumination. And we get to start our first moon cycle in 17 years on, what is it, December 30th? Yeah, December 30th, we have a new moon in Capricorn. So this is the first moon cycle in 17 years where Pluto is not in Capricorn, which means we have a moon cycle with Capricorn where there's no Pluto. It's going to feel liberating. It's going to feel refreshing. There's also probably a lot of really big emotions over the next couple of months that are going to come to ground. I did a reading, it was a while back. It was on the Pisces eclipse. It's not available on like the public platforms, but I just did one for myself. And one of the things that came up in that was the Pisces energy, because the nodes are moving into Pisces. January 28th is when that happens. And so the previous eclipse that was in Pisces, I think it was in September. Let me double check. Yeah, September 18th is when that one was. With the Pisces energy that's coming in, with all this healing energy that's coming through, Pisces is the rain clouds. And so it's like the picking up of the water, the traveling of it, and we have to put it back down again. So like we have these kind of flotations of emotions coming up to be brought to the surface, but what goes up must come back down. So then like the crying about it, or the emotional cleansing, the emotional healing, the revealing, the feeling through it. So a lot of that processing over the next couple of months. So I guess just be prepared or expectant. I don't know if there's a way to prepare that except for just to like receive it if it shows up, really. But that's something that could be the end of a ride. What did you decide? The end of a ride. The end of a ride being like the end of a chapter, the end of a journey, the end of an energy. There's an ending, the end of a ride, the end of a ride. What did you decide? What did you decide to leave behind, really, with Pluto and Capricorn? Pluto asks that we go through so many different transformations and transitions. So what have you asked yourself to leave behind? Who did you leave behind? How did you leave it behind? It's the end of a ride, the end of a ride. And one of the things about the end of a ride is that when you are grieving, this is one of my fundamentals in my practice and has been for a while. And it came up yesterday too. So interesting, it's coming back up now. If you're grieving, then you're leaving. If you're grieving something, you're letting go of something, you're leaving it. That means also you're receiving. There's something coming through. The space wouldn't be made if there wasn't something new to come through. So if there's an end of a ride, that means there's a new ride beginning. We're starting something again, or we're starting something new, maybe not starting something again, starting something new, maybe more specific, starting something new. So what does that mean? Something we can't see, a birth about to be. And you know what? Interesting. And we have the mothers on the bottom of the deck. Okay, so November 18th, I did a Pluto and Aquarius, just a general reading about kind of like what we were walking into, what we could expect with the energy. And one of the things that came up in that reading is to expect the mother's grounding, because there's a birth. And when the mother's ground, it's going to be surround sound. It's like the surrounding of the mothers coming to ground, helping people through this kind of like birthing energy, birthing a new self, birthing a new era. And with that birth, we can't right now really see what it is. Another part of that reading was that it's going to float around and then it's going to ground. But when I saw it grounding, it was like, it was this big kind of, and then like a whoosh of air out of it. It's gonna ground and a whoosh of air out of it. So interesting. What else do we need to see about that, if anything? And then adventures, interesting. Adventures, creations, more artistry is going to come through. It's like the first several months of this transit is going to be transition. It's also going to be consecration oriented. Finalizations are beginnings. That's kind of the energy that's been happening. To finalize it is to begin something. That's the kind of the switchover, or part of the switchover. And when the birth comes through, then we're back in the magic energy, the creative energy. And when I say magic energy, one of the things, how do I say this? There's a lot of people's gifts that are going to be opening back up or being activated maybe for the first time as we move into the North Node being in Pisces. So over the next couple of months, January 28th again is when that happens, when the nodes switch over. So there's a lot of before the nodes switch over, if we've already had an eclipse in the new nodal sign, which we had the Pisces eclipse in September. So when that happens, we are already in the shifting. We're already shifting that energy. We're already changing that energy. We're already making the rearranges. And in those rearranges and in those shifts, Pisces brings gifts. It's about transition. Yes. It's about the veils. Yes. It's about our spiritual practices. With Saturn there right now, it's also about our spiritual disciplines. So Pisces brings gifts, and the gifts of sight, the gifts of mind, the spiritual gifts that are really hard to leave behind. They're a part of you. They're spiritual gifts that are a part of you, human gifts that are just a part of you. They're intrinsic to you and your nature. So with the North Node moving in, it's like we're starting to find new purpose with our gifts again. And part of the vision that I was granted yesterday with this sort of energy was that there's spiritual gifts that have been kind of this slow stream for a while, and then all of a sudden it's going to be this gigantic river. So especially with Neptune going direct on the 7th, so a couple days from now, things are going to start to turn in that direction where like our gifts are more full, we're receiving more information, there's going to be probably more dreams, more messages. That's going to be a part of the transition, is like more water is coming in again, more water, more water, more water. So with that is also creative energy. Also too interesting, because we were talking about the birth energy. So more water, it's like the water is breaking. And okay, well, that can't be unsaid. Yeah, it can't be undone. It has been spoken. So interesting. It's like the birthing waters. The birthing waters are coming through. Oh my gosh, that makes me, oh wow. I don't know that I have words for that one. That one makes me want to curl up in a blanket and just sit and think for a while. That's what that makes me want to do. Yeah, that one's gonna be interesting. The birthing waters, birthing waters. All right. Well, birthing waters. Is there any more for this? Let's pick this one up. Let's see if there's anything. Birthing waters. I wonder if there's anything. Let me look at some of the astrology, the he for sure, the he. Let me look at some. Actually, I have my calendar up here. Hold on. Let me look at my calendar and see if there's any other transits that are like supporting that. You know what? Interesting. The birthing waters, probably the end of January, because I've been wondering about timing for this birthing energy. It'll probably be sometime in January, because January is when the nodes switch over to Pisces and Virgo. It's also when we enter Aquarius season and we're coming out of Capricorn season, and we're going to be in the first Capricorn moon cycle in 17 years with no Pluto. So sometime in January, more than likely, is going to be our the birthing energy. But what happens during birth? Labor. Okay. So savor the labor if you're able to do that. Lots of like big rushes of energy coming through. Again, the picking up and the putting down of water, part of labor is contractions. So feeling the energy of, how do I say, like if you're working a lot and then you're resting, and then you're working a lot and then you're resting. If you're focusing on, because again, one of the cards that came up earlier is like the overflow. What are you overflowing? What is overflowing? Where is that overflow going into, or where is it pouring into? and kind of like, what's the receptacle? How's it being received? Where is it going? That's going to be a part of that birthing energy. Also, the like overworking and then resting. Maybe not overworking, but just like creating, kind of pushing through and then resting, and then creating, pushing through and then resting. Also, one of the things I've noticed too with this shift of Pluto being in Aquarius now, where we're being given an opportunity to kind of switch up our schedules as we need to, and the bindings that were of Pluto and Capricorn still are going to need to be applicable, but they're not going to be transformative anymore. So we're having to kind of restructure, reschedule, and keep our responsibilities, but make sure that we have time for discovery and for new and for creativity. That is going to be something that's really important in the upcoming months, upcoming years for sure, but especially within this adjustment period. And two, thanks for that. And two, if there is any, especially, okay, so let's track back for a second. Pluto and Capricorn, very, very ancestrally connected. Pluto is about the ancestral inheritances. Capricorn is about the systems that are inherited ancestrally that take generations to change. It's like how generations shapeshift. How do generational inheritances allow people to shapeshift throughout generations of time? There's other facets to it, but just on an ancestral level, those are kind of how it's connected. So the fact that we've had Pluto, which has to do with that sort of like death magic, inheritance magic, and like the power of the ancestral lineage that you come from, and then also the shape shifting with Capricorn of those lineages. It's like we have been asked to do the shape shifting work for our lineage. That's a lot of, do you know how much work that is? That's a lot of work. There's a lot of people who do a lot of work in that area for a long time. So now that we're in this transition, the fact that we have this birthing energy coming through, that's also very ancestrally connected. Hi, hey, hello. So if you have this birthing energy coming through, really look at the work that you've been doing for you in terms of creating a new ancestral inheritance to be passed on, creating a new ancestral story for yourself. What have you left behind within maybe the mother and father stories that you've inherited, both within the generation nearest to you and, you know, however far back that you understand for yourself. We don't always need to know, but if you do know, that would be helpful information. Don't poke your nose into anything that you don't need to. Just general advice on that one, and just generally speaking, I suppose. But that's going to be the birthing energy. It's like we've done the work to transform ourselves, so now there's going to be a birth of some kind. Also, holy cow, yep, Pluto in Aquarius is about union. Aquarius is about, it's the water bearer. It's the bringer of the water. And part of that is unification. It's like the waters of unity. It's an air sign. Yes, that's true. But it also requires that there is water involved. And so if you're sharing water with the air, that means it's like, here's the air out here. Okay, well, I have water in a cup that I'm able to now share with you. So if that's the process of it, and we're sharing the water with each other through the air, interesting, it's a lot about unity. Whereas Cancer with the water sign, it's going to be more about, how do I say, more about the heart space, more about the ocean, kind of the boundaries we keep with the heart space, internal and external, also the home energy. Pisces is going to be very, very connected to Aquarius because Aquarius is the air that carries the water of Pisces. So I also think it's interesting that our North Node is moving into, how do I say, into Pisces, yes. And we have Pluto that's just moved into Aquarius. So we have these Piscean waters that are now being carried by the ruler of the underworld. We have the underworld carrying the water in the air. It's very different. It's very, very different. So our unity is unification, unionizing. That power becomes more contractually binding in this era. And there's also, that's going to be a part of the birth process, is what are we being unified with. The part of the birth is a unification. So in the birth process, what is being unified for you in your practice, what unification is coming through, unification, unity, and really looking at what has been made possible because of the work that you've done with Pluto and Capricorn about unity and unification. Also true. Yes. What else do we need to know? Hard work, a path, carving a path for ourselves. Hard work, carving a path. Signs we can't see. what I hear is an infinite mystery. For now, leave the birth be. Leave the birth be. You'll see when you see. Leave the birth be. That was a whole card that fell on the floor. Hold on. We got a whole thing grounding. We got a whole card grounding. It's grounding. It's grounding. We can't see it. It's a seed. A seed. A seed. A seed. A seed. Something grounding that we need that we can't see. It's a seed. So something that we can't offer to ourselves. Oh my goodness. This is not about the birth. This is something different. A course, working hard. Where have you been putting your efforts and energy? What course have you been carving for yourself? What course have you been carving for yourself? What course are you continuing to carve for yourself? There's signs you can't see about this, and you're not supposed to see them yet. What I see is people looking back months from now, years from now, and being like, oh, I should have seen that. I should have seen that coming because like this happened and then this happened and then this happened. But like we don't have the foresight in the story until after the story is already told sometimes. So if there's things that are happening now, just like it's a new story, it's a new era. So if you're carving a path out for yourself, there's all these indicators of like what direction you're going in, or maybe what that path might be, but you're not going to be able to see them until later. So just like make it a memory, like have fun, enjoy the time if you need to, be serious if you need to. That's a part of the readings that have been coming through, is like be serious with yourself and be serious with the transit, because Pluto and Saturn are still together. They're still hanging out, and that's a very serious placement. Pluto and Aquarius, both Pluto and Capricorn. So just, generally as it needs to be, as it is. This is not birth energy though. This is like drive forward, do the work. And because of that, there's a seed grounding. And I didn't even shuffle the cards for this. Like I didn't even do anything to make this one fall out. It just fell out. I moved my hand. I didn't shuffle. I didn't pull the cards, nothing. It just decided it was going to ground because it was time. It was time. So there's a seed grounding. You're not going to be able to see it when it grounds. And that's the thing about seed magic. One of the things I've learned, this is very Jupiter oriented, ninth house oriented, if you're wondering about that, astrologically speaking. So if you want to check those placements out, just to kind of get a glimpse or a maybe about what that could be in your chart. The seed magic. So same thing with this, like carving a path, and like you can see the story afterwards when you look back and it's like, oh my gosh, I should have seen that coming. Like I could see that interaction and that interaction. I could see these things happening now that I'm in the future. But when I was in it, there's no way that I would have known to look out for that or pay attention to that. And that's kind of what I mean by seed magic, is like those things that indicate what's coming in the future. Those are sometimes little seeds that sometimes they're big. It kind of depends, but they're seeds that arrive for us. And if we take care of them and we nurture them, and depending on how we nurture them, they grow differently. This is, yes, that's like those seeds crossing you, or those interactions that could be seed-like, or like, grow into something in the future. That's true. And also this is a God seed. It's a bigger seed. This is a seed. Depending on the spirits that are in your practice and like how you keep order and structure, it's going to be different for every person. That's just how magic works. Grateful for magic. That's true. But this is a seed. It's something that you need. And that's one thing. Sometimes I love that. And also sometimes that happens when you ask for something, or there needs to be transition, or you need to change a position in your life, because that Pisces North node is a lot about transition. Pisces is a lot about change and rearrange. And it feels strange when that happens. That's a part of the reason it's connected to the spiritual stuff too. But it's changing from one place to the next place. We're in this transition. We're going together. It's accumulation of everything that's come before it. And we're going into the new. And so the seed that's grounding, it's something that you need. You've already planted the seed. It's just going to be revealed. Oh, it's like coming up out of the ground. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's great. That's wonderful. It's coming up out of the ground instead of like coming to the sky, to the ground. You've already been nurturing it. You've already been growing it. It'll come up out of the ground. It'll reveal itself. And you know what? Oh my goodness. I've grown avocado trees. This is what this reminds me of. I've grown, because every single plant pops up out of the ground differently. Some of them, if you've ever had an air plant, those don't even really have roots, like every single plant is different. But this one that I see, I used to grow avocado seeds. If you've ever grown an avocado seed, you know that the minute that it starts to shoot up, you have a moment where it's like gonna just chill as a little seedling. It's got some sprouts, but you give it a couple days and it's like this tall. You give it a couple days and it's like pretty big. And that's kind of how I feel about this, is like it's something if you've been growing a seed for a while, or like, yeah, you don't know when it's going to sprout, you don't know how it's going to sprout, and you've been trying to maybe figure it out, but it's just gonna sprout, and then all of a sudden it's gonna grow into. Or if you've ever seen The Magicians, I love that show. If you've ever seen The Magicians, when Alice and Quentin are standing in the field and Quentin's like, okay, well, you have this god power now, like let's see what you can do, and she turns a seed into a tree, but then it's like a whole entire forest that gets grown. It kind of reminds me of that too. For some people, depending on the magic you've been working and depending on like what that symbolism could mean for you. For some people, it will just be one growth. There could be like a couple of them. But for some people, if you've been working really really large forms of magic, it could be an entire forest. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So that's not birth magic. The birth and the seed are different, which I think is very interesting. The birth and the seed are different. There's a birth coming through and a seed happening. Two? There's two of them? There's two of them. There's two of them. The reason that I, with my eyes, is because that's a lot of responsibility. That's a lot of responsibility. A whole entire seed is going to pop up out of the ground, something that we need. And we have a whole entire birth happening. Both at the same time. We're going to have a baby and a new plant. Could be metaphorical. It could be actual birth. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. What else? Is there anything else we need to know? Huh. That was honestly wild. Wild. You know? Yeah, that's honestly wild. What else do we need to know? Oh my goodness. Is there anything else? Is there any? Let's actually work with the fate deck. Let's work with the fate deck. Oh, okay, fate. Love you, fate. Love you, fate. Let's see what the fate deck needs to say to us. Six of Coins. A grounding of the mother's true brings more finances through, as long as you've been doing what you need to do. As long as you've been doing what you need to do. If you've been focusing, this is for people who've been focusing on finances, focusing on financial stability. Also, the terminology financial fertility came to me yesterday when I was thinking about finances and this sort of energy space. Financial fertility, the fertility of finances, especially with the grounding of the mothers. A crossing of fate. Also, what offerings have you given to other people without an expectment? So many new words are coming out of my mouth today. Oh my goodness. Expectment or expecting. It feels like expectment. I'm going to say it then, because if that's what I feel, then let the spelling rearrange. All right. The expectment, without expecting there to be return, or having there be a return of, like, you've given an offering, you haven't expected anything in return. It's just like, yeah, I'm going to do this because I love you, or I'm going to do this because I care about you. I'm going to do this because like it's the right thing to do. And you haven't asked for anything in return, or maybe things were asked of you and you didn't give anything in return, or you did the thing, but you didn't receive anything in return for it. There's a ground. It's like, I see a spirit somewhere tallying up every single time that happened, and then being like, okay, well, you've racked all this up, so we're just going to come and deliver it now, as long as you've been continuing to do everything that you need to do. Interesting. Ooh, I like that. Hopefully there's no tally marks that count against you. And if there are, hopefully it leans in your favor of like positive interaction, positivity, a learning. Nine of Cups, a legacy coming to ground. Oh, thanks. A legacy coming to ground. Interesting. A legacy coming to ground. Nine of Cups coming around. Prosperity is coming to ground. You know what? The legacy and like inheritance, like what we leave behind when we're gone, is something that's been coming up very frequently recently. Very frequently. It's like very quiet, very quiet, let's just sit back and watch for a moment. Let's just watch for a moment. Observation. I feel very like, if you have the time, this would be for people who are interested in kind of leaving behind a legacy or understanding what that could mean for them. Just sit back and watch. Just observe your life and look at how far you've come. Look at everything you've done. Just observe. Just sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. Also, yeah, just sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. Sit back and watch. That was a very very over here energy. Interesting. The legacy. Yeah. Like it's been something that's been coming up in my sessions with people recently too. The legacy, or like what are you going to leave behind when you go? And there's different placements in the chart that can show you like if you're meant to leave something behind or how that works. Anything 8th house or Scorpio related can kind of like give you an indication of that. It's going to be, especially with Pluto moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius is we're going into the future. We're going to the future and we're doing it way out there, but we're doing it here at the same time. So we have to like catch up. We have to catch up with things. It's the trend setting, but it's like ahead of people who are ahead of their time, or like being ahead of your time. It's like being ahead of your time, except with Pluto and Aquarius. Oh, I didn't think about that until just now. Pluto can be a little bit dangerous because people sometimes want to claim power or be in the power, but they don't necessarily want the responsibility of it. That's a part of it. Oh, I think those are pretty lights. Thanks for that. They don't necessarily want the responsibility of it. So if you, just as a protective mechanism or a protective practice or note for Pluto and Aquarius, if you feel that there is the trend setting sort of energy or being ahead of your time energy with inventions or information or however that might work for you, okay, the different of how it's different from what we're already doing. If you are able to sit in the responsibility of creating whatever it is that you see, or like bringing people, however that invention or new thing that is more future oriented, if you can bring the time frame that we're in now to that future place, then that's how you're able to sit in the power and the responsibility both together of Pluto and Aquarius. But if you're just thinking up the ideas and like going to the future, not to carry anybody with you, there's probably some lessons, discretion that could come through. So just make sure that if you're going to ask for that responsibility, that you're able to sit in it, the future responsibility. Yes, for sure. Oh, because I've seen people, including myself, I'm not excluded from this. I've seen people want to sit in the power and not want to sit in the responsibility. That's a very, 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 I don't know if I have a word for it. It's not something that I would recommend. There's my words for it. I wouldn't recommend it. That's true. Okay, something grounding. Another grounding. Also, it grounded on my shoe. The sun coming through. We can't see the sun, but it's already done. The sun. Okay, hold on, because you're telling me the sun card is going to ground on my shoe. So it's in the path. It's part of the path work. The sun coming undone. Something in the light has been spun and it has not been fun. It's like warrior energy, fighting energy, something you've had to do that you didn't really want to, and you had to do it very directly. You had to do it. You had to do it in the light energy, and it was just something that wasn't fun. You didn't want to have it done. You didn't want to go get it done, and that was a lot of Pluto and Capricorn too. Is like just doing the stuff that we didn't really want to do to be able to earn the power and protect ourselves how we needed to. Glad it's over. Grateful for what it was while I was here. Both of them are true. So now, and also I'm gonna put thumbs down and do a little stick on my tongue for a second. You know what? Because it's allowed to be fun. That's also true. So with that sun card grounding, it's like we can't see the new sun. And one of the things that's been coming through in a lot of the like personal sessions I've been doing, the collective readings I've been doing, is that we can expect, and I might have already said this in this reading, but I'm going to bring it up again because it feels important. We can expect new light work, new light, especially for people who have been doing a lot of shadow work. It's like new light work is arriving. If you've been doing a lot of shadow work or you've been diving into the darkness, maybe you've been bringing light into the darkness so that you can understand what's in the darkness and understand what's in the shadows and kind of navigate there, understand what's there. Now we're in this time frame where we're coming out of those dark places and we're being placed. It's like blinding light, kind of. Instead of being blinded by the darkness, we're going to be blinded by the light. The song, blinded by that song. Yeah. Okay. So blinded by the light a little bit. And so instead of having to navigate where it's dark, we're going to have to learn how to navigate where it's light. And there's something grounding, something you might figure out tonight. Interesting grounding. And it's on the right side. It landed on my right shoe. The grounding of this card, the sun card. Something coming undone with the sun. Something you've already done It's coming undone. Things are about to be fun. It's like what I see about this or feel about this is like it's like the cord cutting or like the cutting of a cord, the cutting of a fate, no longer having to consecrate in a specific way. Or there's like a finalization, but it's a finalization because something is coming out in a sense of like if it was a knot, it's no longer knotted. Like they're no longer tethered. It's not tethered anymore. Because of that, the sun can like pop out. And one of the readings, I don't know which one it was, but I did this one probably a couple months ago. I saw on December 21st when the sun moves into Capricorn, it's just like this beacon of bright light. So that's probably about it. Probably a moment about that. My words got caught up on each other, but you know what? That's all right. Yeah, something you could also figure out tonight. Something if you're someone who is like writing a story or working with fate energy and you're wondering about that light energy, maybe you've been resonating with it. There's something you might figure out tonight. Path on the right, interesting. Path on the right, okay. Good. I had a personal connection for a moment, so I'll have to remember that. Interesting. Whoa, wait, interesting. I was talking about that to myself earlier. I'm not going to talk about that on live stream because the umbilical cord, y'all can't see that on TikTok, but I can see it on YouTube. The umbilical cord. Look at you being a smarty. That's incredible. What the heck? The umbilical. I don't have any other words. Thank you so much. That is crazy. Whoa. The umbilical cord. Oh my gosh. What's really about to be revealed to us? Curious. So mysterious. Curious. The umbilical cord. Hold on. I don't even want to pull any cards yet. Hold on. Because that was a lot of information. Because the thing I was talking about earlier, let me talk around it. I'm not going to talk at it. There was something that happened during the previous Venus retrograde, really hard, not very fun to go through. And I was sitting here and I was talking about it and like working through it with myself and like just like reaffirming to myself how I feel. And I do like self-therapy work a lot of the times. And because I have to do on a personal level more therapy work than just going like once a week. And so anyways, I do a lot of like sitting with myself and feeling through things and talking through things. And so there's something really hard that happened about, what is it, like a year and a half ago now about that. And I was sitting and I was thinking about it earlier and I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I want this to happen to this person. Like, I don't want to take any action, like whatever around the situation. And there was like anyways, I'll have to sit with that later. Interesting. Okay. The umbilical cord. I'm still like that. You're right, though, because if it's like something coming undone, oh my gosh, the umbilical cord, like if something is coming undone, the tether's being broken, we can finally see the sun. Also, the sun, literally in some tarot decks, the sun card is the picture of a child. It's like the child is involved with it. Okay, thank you for your gift. That's incredible. Oh my goodness. I don't even feel like, hold on. I don't even want to go yet. I don't even want to pick up the cards. I don't even want to read again. Not yet. Because that with the birth energy, I feel like you're right. I feel like that was a key that you just offered to me and to all of us. Oh my goodness. That was more children. Oh my goodness. The umbilical cord gets cut. So that means from here till Capricorn season, we're in consecration energy. We're in birth energy, consecration, birth. Oh, something coming to the earth. Who are you? What are you going to be? I'm interested to understand that for both you and me. Oh my goodness. The mother is coming. I feel like probably more than one. You know what? I feel like probably more than one mother's coming. That's how I feel about that. Probably more than one mother. You're going to have more than one mother show up. The mother's coming through. And you know what? The previous several days, that's been there's been a lot of mother energy returning. And it's been very mother oriented. There's been a lot of stuff in my personal practice. There's been a lot of mother things, mother energy coming in. It's interesting. Mother. Yeah. I'm also pregnant now. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. May the birth be easy how it needs to be for you. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Wow. I just became a midwifery student. So good. So much to process. Honestly, though, it didn't even feel like it just felt like that was something I needed to know. Just felt like I was there's something I needed to know. Like there's a gift of the mind. I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. A gift of the mind. Thank you for that. Because I'll have to sit with it. I'm sure probably that's part of Pluto and Aquarius is like we're given kind of chaotic things, especially in social spaces and situations. So like if you're given chaotic things, chaotic instances or chaotic exchanges, like unpredictable, unexpected exchanges. And that's kind of the first time that there's been an answer handed to me from the comments in a while, maybe not ever. But sometimes it's like an interactive process, but I wasn't even really looking for that and it just kind of came through. That's what I mean. It's different than the other time. Sometimes there's comments that will answer a question that I've been thinking about or like been feeling through, but that one was unexpected. That was just different. Okay, so that's Pluto and Aquarius, but then just the knowing that is important. And part of Pluto and Aquarius, this is the okay. So talking about binding fate and working with fate with Pluto and Aquarius, this is how in Pluto and Aquarius we consecrate fate. It's how we bind fate. Those random happenings and exchanges that are just like chaotic or unexpected, how we respond to them and the order of how that response happens and how that exchange that was random or unexpected happens means it's probably going to happen again. There's probably going to be another order that's similar to that again. So more than likely there's going to be more information on like personal levels probably once we leave our live stream here together that comes through about that just because of the order of Pluto and Aquarius. How curious, but also that tool of binding up the chaotic order and understanding the structure is something that can be helpful with Pluto and Aquarius. It's something I've noticed in our first couple weeks of this transition. So if you're wondering about that kind of work, that's something to look at as necessary and as needed. Wow, interesting. Let's see what else we need to see about the birth energy. The birth energy, the world a crossing. The world a crossing. A fate greets us. There is fate to meet. How are you moving your feet? Okay, let's go over some fundamentals of fate magic because I saw a question on here about is there any way to avoid fate? Is there any way to avoid fate? So let's talk about it. If you're moving in, how you move your feet is how fate will meet you. What sort of action are you taking? Why are you taking that kind of action? How are you feeling about it? Noticing your patterns of those sorts of actions, especially when it comes to important things that you might be looking forward to, or like an accumulation of something, maybe a gift that you're asking for, or more of something that you're asking for. Not always more. That's beautiful. It's a energy. How do I explain this? Those tiny crossings that you make in your life where maybe you like give a friend a gift or there's a friend that asks for advice or you say thank you to the trees, like eventually because you've been moving in a certain way, fate sees that and there's an accumulation of those exchanges and then fate has a large crossing for you because of those smaller exchanges. That would be the weavings of fate. Now, if you're moving your feet and it's really sweet, speaking in the rhymes, okay, rhyming all the time. This is what it is. If you're moving your feet and it's really sweet, then probably there's a sweet fate that will meet you. But if you're moving your feet and you're in defeat or you are feeling not complete somehow, then there could be a crossing that somehow matches that energy. One of the things about these smaller exchanges or maybe day-to-day, week-to-week exchanges is that if we notice our patterns, we can create change within ourselves, then create change within our lives. And fate sees that too. That's how we get out of certain bindings of fate, because you're talking about avoiding fate. So that is how we can't like avoid it, in my opinion. Fate is a very old, very large being that we don't have any control over, but we can interact. Thank goodness. We can interact and we can give offerings if and when necessary. So that's true. Or if we want to, that's also true. So if you've been changing how you've been moving your feet, say that maybe a couple years ago you were not moving your feet in a sweet sort of way, but now you are. Fate sees that kind of change and has been paying attention. Fate pays attention to that sort of stuff, at least in my experience. So if there's a bigger crossing of fate that's coming through, it's the world is going to meet you. So it's like, what have you been asking for? What have you been asking for? What have you been working for? What have you been walking towards? How have you been walking to it? Because there's something a brewing. What have you been doing? There's a fate coming through for some of you. It may not be for everybody, but a fate coming through, a collective of people who are receiving a crossing of fate. Interesting. What have you consecrated also? What have you finished? What have you finalized? Is there any works or spells that you've done to help with and assist this work? Anything, it could be career oriented, personal life, relationship, really any area. That's kind of one of the natures of the 12th house and of Neptune's spiritual stuff is that it is an accumulation of every other place in the chart. So, really, any place in your life where that could be possible. That's true. Here for the rhymes. Thanks. So good. Do I make a distinction between fate and destiny? That's a great question. And I think it's interesting. I just finished. I've been watching it for a while. I took a break and then I picked it back up recently so that I could finish the series. Vikings Valhalla. I just finished it yesterday. And the final, no spoilers, okay? I won't give anything away because I think it's really good and the story is like a beautiful story. But the final episode, I think it's called Destinies or Meeting Destiny, something about destiny. I can't remember. So I was thinking about that yesterday. Interesting that you're talking about destiny because I was thinking about it yesterday and I was thinking to myself, like, how do I interact with destiny? Because normally if I'm working with those sorts of crossings, it is more about fate oriented. I think my most recent understanding of destiny is that destiny is about our choice. It's about what we've chosen. What have we bound ourselves to? Because fate is like these big overarching bindings that can change throughout time, but it's like the big crossings. We can't really avoid them. And then destiny, in my opinion, at least as I'm kind of like processing this right now, I'm kind of like realizing this out loud. It's something I probably sat with internally, but just haven't like consecrated through word yet. Destiny would be like our choice. Like, what is it that you're choosing to be bound to? What is it that you're deciding is going to be kind of like these long-term crossings for yourself? Because again, we don't have control over fate. We can interact with it, but we don't have control over those big crossings. So destiny is those, how are we moving our feet? I guess that's destiny for me has more to do with choice. It's like choosing our destiny, being able to like that thing out there is my destiny. That thing out there, that's my purpose. That's my destiny. And I'm going to walk the path and I'm going to make the choices to be able to receive that, to create that, to be on that kind of like coursework or path work. That's, I think, probably how I would define it. Although I'm not as familiar with the spirit of destiny. Thank you, Destiny, for being here. That's true. But that's, I think, probably where I sit with that currently. So, yes, 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 yes. So good. So good. I just realized following you for a while, it makes me see how your hair changes. I know my hair's been different recently. It's interesting because you're probably the second person in a couple of days to say that. And when I was younger, had just really long hair. I've gone through different phases in my life where I've just had really long hair, and I shaved my head 3 years ago. It's grown back. It's grown back pretty good. I'm grateful for it. I've cut it a couple times since it was shaved off, but it's going pretty good. Growing pretty good, going pretty good. So I'm grateful for that. So good. Hi to you too. Yeah. Yeah, it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Is there anything else we need to hear? Or do I need to are we done? Is that it? Normally when I ask that question, we're finished. I feel like let's not overload it. I feel like let's not overload it. Let's not overdo it because that's a lot. Birth energy, seed energy, umbilical cord energy. Thank you for that again. Umbilical cord energy. Lots of change, redirection, grounding, further inspection. Interesting. Also, yes, my podcast is on Spotify. If you ever have questions about like my resources or other offerings, if you go to the link in my bio, either on YouTube or on TikTok, it's astrologyandmagic.com. That's one of my websites that I run. The Magick has a CK at the end. So astrology and magic, magic with the CK.com. And then Vordr.art, VORDR.ART. That's my other website. And it has my books are on there. What else is on there? The podcast is on there. What else do I have on there? My NFT collections are on there. Books. I have my card decks on there. Both of these card decks I've made. I have the Fate deck, and then I have my rune deck, the rune cards. I have a book about runes that I've written, which I'm working on getting together the next book. Interesting. There's 2 books of spells I've written. I'm working on the 3rd one. So those are up and available. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's available as a resource. My sessions are back open and available for people on those 2. I'm working on a new skill set for YouTube right now. And I've got a blog coming out pretty soon with that skill set. It's going to be focused more on spiritual initiation. So if you're interested in that, if you want to sign up for the blog, that'll be sent out. Maybe sometime tonight. It could be sometime tomorrow. It just depends on, I've got training later. So like my time management when I get that done. But yeah, so those are my resources. It is. I just booked another session for you in January. Oh my gosh. We had a session earlier today. Yes. Is this the same person? I don't, maybe not. Was it recently? I don't know. Anyways, thank you. I'm excited. Thank you. And I'm excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm so excited. It's interesting recently too, because the sessions I've been doing have kind of shifted, and I'm really grateful for this. I love working with people and working with magic stuff. And recently my sessions have shifted into like the practices and the gifts again. And it's like one of my favorite places to be is speaking about that sort of stuff. So thank you for offering that to me, because it's so good. No, we had a session on Thanksgiving. Aha. Yes, beautiful. Okay, so good. I had someone else who had a session today also booked again. So yes, beautiful. So good. So good. So good. So good. So good. Oh, and it's been crazy recently too. Sorry, I like got it mixed up because there's been so many bookings coming in recently. Ah, there's been so many bookings coming in recently that I honestly, it's hard to keep it straight. It's hard to like. So thanks for the support, because honestly, it's different. It's a change, and it feels a little strange. I'm having to adjust to it. So I'm grateful for it. And also, holy cow, wow. Thanks. Yeah. Holy cow, wow. So good. I got my spot. Shout out. I'm excited. I didn't click on your session today, but I saw it on my calendar and I was like, how do I say? Because I don't always work with a lot of most of my following is more feminine or females, and it's always but I work with a lot of masculine energy in my personal life, and it's always really interesting for me to be able to work with both the feminine and the masculine in sessions. And I always really appreciate being able to work with people who carry masculine energy with them, maybe a little bit differently than the feminine energy. So anyways, yeah, I'm excited for that. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah. Heck yeah. 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 Actually, the blog that I'm sending out soon is about the initiation of a berserker. And that's a very masculine magic path to move in. It's also very specific. There's a very specific path to walk. But I had a session recently where it was just like, the information. I was like, I have to write this. I have to write this. And I have to be able to get this information out to people. I've already written a blog about the berserker, but it's such a, how do I say? Like it's such an interesting spiritual path, and it requires so much discipline, and it requires so much fervent hold on. Let me make sure that that's the word I actually want to use. Fervent, having display or passionate intensity. Yeah, that's true. It requires so much fervent and berserker energy, the blog only. It'll be on the blog. And then I'm putting together kind of the mini series for YouTube talking about spiritual initiation. So they kind of go together. The blog's going to cover more about the specifics of berserker initiation and my experience with it. And then the YouTube stuff is going to be more focused on like the astrological placements to look at for spiritual initiation, different forms of spiritual initiation, and just kind of my experience with it. Actually, I could tell you, let me see if I can pull it up. Where are we at? I still need to film the tests and trials of spiritual initiation. And then I'm specifically going to be talking about the initiation of a high priestess, and that's going to be its own video. And then I'm also going to be making a video in that story, or in that series rather, about my personal story, because somebody asked about that recently. And I realized I haven't really told that story to the internet, but understanding the stories of other people who have gone through similar experiences of initiation or initiatory like consecrations can be so helpful. I would not have been able to make it through my initiations without people talking to me about what they've been through. And I know, you want to come up? Come on. Come on. You can do it. Yes, you can. Remember? My cat, sometimes he's sitting down here and he's become a fan of sitting up on the back of my chair. You come on then. Yeah, come on. You can. Come on. You don't want to get on camera? You don't want to? Sometimes he's camera shy. You want to come on or not? You want to come on or not? You can. Let me scoot over. Let's see if he makes his own decision. Let's see if he makes his own decision. But yeah, so that story of initiation is going to be towards the end of it. Haven't decided how I'm going to tell the story. Oh, maybe he just wanted to come say hi. He's an interesting little guy. Anyways, but yeah, I haven't decided how I'm going to tell the story or what I'm going to include in it, because there's several different like initiatory experiences I've been through. There's also several different ways you can be initiated. That's the whole thing. That's part of that YouTube series that I'm putting together. So I don't know when those are going to be out, because I got to get the podcast out tomorrow. But let me not bore you with the details of my behind the scenes work. But yeah, there's some new stuff coming out, and I'm excited for it. And I'm bringing up the initiation stuff because every once in a while, when I start to bring on sessions again, or like bring on clients again, I'm doing work with other people again, because I kind of go back and forth. I'll take some breaks, I'll come back to the work, I'll take some breaks and come back to the work. And basically every time I come back to doing readings again, there's several people who are like going through some form of initiation or some form of initiatory experience. And so I'm going to make just a general guide for people. And that way, if people have questions on a general level, I'm able to go in and it's just information that's there. And here's the resource, here's the information, instead of it always being kind of like an individual one-on-one, which sometimes still is necessary, but valid. And it is. So yes. So good. Love you for that. So good. I need all the resources. So good. It's going to be, honestly, it'll be a good course. I'm excited for it. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be good. It'll be what it needs to be. That's true. That's true. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have to get off. I have to go get ready. I gotta get ready for my training tonight. So I'm going to go and do that. But those are the resources. If you're looking for, I think on YouTube, it's like in my, how would you say, the description of the video. I put all of my links at the bottom of every video on YouTube in case you want to find whatever it is that you're looking for. But on TikTok, if you go to the link in my bio, you can find it over there. So good. So good. So good. Oh, beautiful. Thanks for sitting with me for the reading. Thanks for also asking questions and for the support, and for the support. Thank you for the support. I've been kind of in awe over the previous couple of months of just how much support has been here. So thanks for that. Thank you. Oh, so good. I'll talk to you soon. I'll talk to everybody soon. And have a great day. Have a great night wherever you're at. And yeah, you'll be hearing from me soon. Don't know when, but I'll be there. Bye. Oh, bye, guys.